Okay. All right. This one right here, we're gonna do open chest wounds. This is an injury that we lose a lot of people out here in the streets. People get stabbed, take a gunshot wound in their chest, and with an open chest wound, and they die. And it's something that we could probably save them from if more people next to them knew what was going on and exactly what the problem is. When you have an open chest wound, say for instance, something's penetrated my chest cavity, is that your two lungs sit inside airtight cavities inside of your chest. So anytime those airtight cavities get penetrated, now your lungs are at risk. There's a negative air pressure, so when you breathe in, your lungs just expand out inside of your chest. But the hole, when you get a hole in your chest, the air's blowing inside. So now that air's taking up room. And if it were just an open space, it wouldn't matter. The air would just go around the balloon and go on about where it's going. But say for instance, the air is inside of this, like the balloon is inside of this container right here. And as you keep filling air in there like this water, the air is going to take up all of the room. So at a certain point, this lung, as it keeps getting air pumped into it, it's going to get smaller and start contorting itself. And then all of a sudden, it's going to collapse. Okay? So once that lung collapses, that's how we lose a lot of people. The lung collapse, and we don't know what to do. They're out there and they're just losing their air. So what are the symptoms of an open chest wound? So a person, you run across them, they're hurt. Of course, you're looking for a pool of blood on the ground. You see blood coming from the injury, stuff like that. Okay, looking for a sucking or hissing sound because they're penetrating the airtight cavity inside of the chest. It's reverse pressure. So the pressure inside of that cavity is reversing the pressure outside because your lungs are getting bigger. The patient is going to be coughing up blood. All right? That's another symptom. They might be coughing up blood. The blood is going to be frothy from the wound. You know, like if you blow in the milk or blowing milk, shaking, the little bubbles come down at the bottom of the cup. That's what a froth is. They can experience a pain in their chest or shoulder that increases when they breathe. So every time they breathe, of course, their lungs getting bigger, and that's another symptom. All right. You might see a bluish tint on their lips or inside of their mouth on their fingertips. That's another sign that this person might have a penetrating chest wound. All right, and then they might have signs of shock, which is gonna be a rapid but weak pulse. All right, so what you're gonna be looking for their pulse, and it's gonna be beating much faster than normal, but it's gonna be weak. And the reason for that is that both lungs supply oxygen to the heart, right? And the heart puts oxygen in the blood and sends it onto the body. But since now only one lung is giving up oxygen, the heart is only sending half the amount of blood, and the body's trying to eat more of it. So the body's asking for more and more and more, and you have less and less and less. So the pulse is going to speed up, but it's going to be weaker because it's less blood, actually less oxygenated blood running through it. Okay, all right. You're gonna look for an injury and an exit wound, of course. What you're gonna do is then, after you identify the injury, you're gonna expose and cut away any clothing that's on the injury. Okay, you have to cut the shirt so you can get to the injury, do what you need to do. Say for instance, the blood it might have been laying there for a while or something. You found, and the blood has the clothes stuck to the injury. You're not gonna yank those off. You're gonna leave that like it is, and you're gonna cut around that. Okay, all right. You're never gonna try to remove any, like say for instance, there's still a knife in there, still a stick sticking out or anything. You're not gonna try to remove that. You're gonna work around that stuff and patch it. Do whatever you're gonna do. You're gonna do around that. Okay. So now we understand that this chest wound is creating a bigger problem because it might not be fatal, just the flesh injury that's happened to the person, the knife wound or the bullet wound might not have hit anything vital, no vital flesh, and they can stay alive. But since it's getting all this air inside the chest and compressing their lung, all right, one lung can collapse. Now, just because one lung collapses doesn't mean that the other one is going to collapse. They're in different containers. One lung is in here, one lung is in the other one. So because this lung collapsed doesn't mean that this next lung is going to collapse. But what's going to happen is your body's going to have a harder time breathing. Right. Okay, so if you got any other additional things going on with you and stuff like that, and your body's only taking half oxygen, then we can see where that might expedite the process of somebody dying. Okay, all right. So what do we need to do? We need to seal this chest wound so that this person's lung doesn't collapse. We can save their life. All right. So how are we going to seal this chest wound? if you have a first aid kit, and we should all have first aid kits in our cars. I mean, they're only $7 to $8. So we ride around in our cars, and we got scales in our cars and stuff like that. So we make sure we check our points, make sure the weed man giving us all our weed. We should have a $10 or $15 first aid kit in our trunk anyway. Okay, so everybody should have one of these. So what you want to do, something to seal that chest wound, you can use the outside of a bandage, the outside of a cold compress, the outside of a big bandage like this, something that is not porous, because you can't use a Band-Aid or anything fabric is going to let air come through. So something like this won't let air come through. You're going to put that over that wound, over that sucking wound to stop the air from coming in, and then you're going to have to take that off and seal it, okay? Now, I don't have a first aid kit. I didn't listen to it. And I got the scale in my car for certain. Cause I'll make sure I get all my weed. But I ain't getting no first aid kit. And bro just got shot. And what the hell I'm gonna do? How am I gonna help him out? And he do have a sucking chest wound. I happen to watch this video on YouTube, and that's exactly what I'm looking at right now. How I'm gonna help bro out, because we ain't got no first aid kit. We didn't listen. Okay. What other things might we be able to use? We might be able to use a Walmart shopping bag. Okay. We need to take this and get this bag locked down around this person, because you need to seal it and you need to tape it off, right? So we don't have any tape. The Walmart shopping bag might not be the best thing. What other thing might we be able to find to get it around this person real fast and kind of seal them off without no tape that can save a person's life? Just think, if right now something was happening, what would you probably use?
Could you use clothing?
You can't use clothing because you need something that's going to stop air from coming through. So it has to be plastic, cellophane, anything that stops air from coming through. So no, you can't use clothing. What you would use, you can use a trash bag. How about a big hefty trash bag, right? You can wrap that around the body real fast. You might not have tape, but you can get that body, you can wrap it around that body in a fast enough time to at least, because that negative air pressure is air trying to go into it. You might not have no tape, but that's better than just trying to put a Walmart bag there and it's slipping and the air still escaping and getting in through there. Get your hefty bag, wrap it around the person. Maybe if you get two of them, if you have to. The point is that you get enough plastic to stop the air from coming into that person's chest cavity and creating that negative air pressure, which is going to then collapse that lung and just like a balloon. You put a balloon inside a container, then blow air inside of the container with the balloon. The balloon is going to at some point get compressed and break, and that's exactly how our lungs, these beautiful machines that we walk in, is exactly how they're made. Okay.
When you first get to the patient, like you said, there's gonna be a pool of blood. There's gonna be a pool of blood.
Well, I mean, there could be. I'm just saying there could be. They don't necessarily have to be a pool of blood. I don't want to confuse anybody. It's not about blood at all. It's not about blood at all. It's about stopping air, outside air, going into that cavity that shouldn't have any outside. Bleeding is going to be a consequence of there being an injury. But bleeding is not a part of the equation per se. It might exist, it might not exist. I mean, maybe the person is not a bleeder. But if they have an injury that penetrates their chest cavity to where it's penetrated the inside of that plastic thing, and air's coming in there now that balloon's at risk, because the more air coming in there, the less room that balloon has, and it's going to then collapse. So what you want to figure out is how to treat that is what you're figuring out, right? Mm-hmm. You got to patch, like you riding your bike, and your bike ever had a hole in it, right? And you had to patch it, yes? It's the same thing. We're nothing but machines. The same concept that happens on these cars, same concept that happens with us. You need to patch it, all right? So how you going to go ahead and patch it? You got to cover up that hole that's open. And what you need to cover up that hole is something plastic, something that's not letting, something that won't let air permeate through it. All right, so this can be a plastic, cellophane, things like that. And again, I'm telling you, for the purpose of expediation, for the purpose of keeping somebody alive, we don't want to go and grab a freaking Walmart bag and don't have any tape. Go in the house and get the hefty cinch sack and wrap it around the trunk of that person. Go get maybe 1 or 2 garbage bags, because we want to be fast. Now, yeah, a Walmart bag can work, but if you don't have tape to secure that bag to the wound, because now you want to secure the front end, and you want to make sure that you check the back as well, all right? Because if there's an exit wound, you want to cover that up too, because you don't want air coming or going through there, all right? So once you seal both the front end and the back of that, Now there's not air going through there. Now, not that blood is not it is not something you should be concerned with, but the part of the equation that makes this such a danger is the air coming into the body in the reverse direction that it should be coming.